What is the matter? Why have you not come to see me? Were you not in London? Have you not received my letters?
Jane Austen, corsets, tea parties. When Columbia Pictures greenlit a period drama about broke sisters hunting for husbands in 1811 England, nobody expected it to become the movie that proved an Oscar-winning actress could write, that a 19-year-old could lie her way to stardom, or that hypothermia could play matchmaker. Welcome to Sense and Sensibility, the 1995 film that took a 184-year-old novel about emotional restraint and turned it into Hollywood chaos. Emma Thompson writing her first screenplay while studios panicked, Kate Winslet collapsing in the rain after 50 takes.
Can you put your arm about my neck? Allow me to escort you home.
Hugh Grant's career surviving a tabloid scandal, a Taiwanese director telling British actors to meditate, and a computer crash that almost deleted the entire Oscar-winning script until a comedian saved it in 7 hours. Today we're diving into 15 weird facts about the Jane Austen adaptation that earned $135 million, launched Kate Winslet into superstardom, and proved that sometimes the best love stories happen when someone's feet are shoved into someone else's armpits to prevent hypothermia. Now, before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe because it really does help this channel. Now, let's rock with number 15. 15. Kate Winslet lied her way into stardom. Kate Winslet walked into her Sense and Sensibility audition with exactly 1 film credit and a plan to commit career fraud. The year was 1995. Winslet had just finished playing a teenage killer in Heavenly Creatures, and director Ang Lee hated it. He thought she was too intense, too dark, too much. So when her agent got her an audition, it was for Lucy Steele, a minor supporting role with maybe 10 minutes of screen time. Winslet had other ideas. She showed up prepared for Marianne Dashwood, the romantic lead. When casting directors asked what she was reading for,
Marianne is reading them out to us.
And which are your favorites?
Without a doubt, mine is 116.
she smiled and said her agent told her it was Marianne. Total lie. Lee later told Variety that Winslet lied to us and that her agent had told her to prepare the wrong thing for the read. But here's the thing. She didn't audition as Kate Winslet reading for a part. She walked in as Marianne Dashwood, vibrant and refreshing and completely alive. One reading, that's all it took. Lee cast her on the spot for the lead role, and Winslet went from unknown actress with murder movie baggage to Oscar nominee at age 20. The role launched her straight into Titanic 2 years later, and the rest is box office history. To Winslet's credit, she later called it the most outrageous thing she'd ever done. And honestly, lying your way from supporting player to leading lady in one audition deserves a standing ovation. 14. A psychic told Greg Wise he'd meet his wife on set. Before filming began, Greg Wise visited a friend who dabbled in mysticism. The friend told him something specific. In this film, you'll meet your future wife. Wise showed up to Sense and Sensibility, convinced he knew exactly who it would be. Spoiler alert, he was completely wrong. Emma Thompson was married to Kenneth Branagh and 7 years older than Wise. Obviously not her, he figured. That left one option. Kate Winslet, young and single, and playing opposite him.
Do declare, Miss Marianne. If I do not have you married to the Colonel by tea time, I shall swallow my own bonnet.
As the passionate Marianne to his dashing Willoughby. So, Wise asked Winslet out. They went to Glastonbury Festival together, wandering through crowds and music and mud. And according to Emma Thompson, Kate was so bored that Wise thought, this isn't going to work. Who can it be? Here's the twist. Kate Winslet knew. She saw the chemistry between Wise and Thompson and straight up told him, you should date Emma. Her marriage is over. According to Wise, Kate pointed out that we were right for each other. Thompson and Branagh's divorce finalized in 1995. Wise took his shot. They started dating, had a daughter in 1999, married in 2003, and have been together nearly 30 years. The psychic was right. Wise met his wife on set. He just had to get rejected by his co-star first to figure it out. 13. Emma Thompson spent 5 years writing the screenplay. Producer Lindsay Doran had a problem. She'd spent years searching for someone to adapt Sense and Sensibility. someone who could write in Jane Austen's language as naturally as 20th century English. She needed a writer who understood both biting satire and grand romance. Then she read some comedy sketches Emma Thompson had written. Doran thought the humor and style were exactly what she'd been searching for. Just one tiny issue. Thompson had never written a screenplay, ever. Thompson's first reaction was to suggest they adapt Persuasion or Emma instead, basically asking for a trial run before tackling Sense and Sensibility. Doran said no, jump into the deep end.
There is nothing under 10 pence a pound, Lamar. We have to economise.
Do you want us to starve?
No. Just not to eat beef.
Thompson spent 5 years writing and rewriting that script. 5 years. She worked on it between filming other movies, during production breaks, even during the actual filming of Sense and Sensibility itself. She wrote hundreds of different versions of the romantic storylines, constantly tweaking dialogue, cutting scenes, adding new ones. Studios were terrified. A first-time screenwriter on a period drama, they passed. One after another, they said, no thank you. Columbia Pictures finally agreed to distribute, but even they were nervous. Thompson kept writing anyway. She described the process as keeping plates spinning, trying to balance screen time for characters who spend half the novel off-screen. In 1996, she won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay, making her the first and only person to win Academy Awards for both acting and writing. 12. Stephen Fry saved the entire movie in 7 hours. Imagine this. You've spent 5 years writing a screenplay. You're in the final stages, polishing dialogue, perfecting scenes. Then your computer crashes and the entire file disappears. That's exactly what happened to Emma Thompson. Thompson, by her own admission, was a computer-illiterate fool. She had no backup, none. When her computer scrambled the script, she panicked. Apple support couldn't fix it. A professional repairman couldn't fix it. The Oscar-winning screenplay was just gone. So, Thompson did what anyone would do. She called her old college friend Stephen Fry, comedian and self-proclaimed computer geek. Fry spent 7 hours hunched over Thompson's computer, digging through corrupted files and digital wreckage. Thompson sat there hyperventilating, while Hugh Laurie, who happened to be at Fry's house, made her tea and tried to keep her calm. After 7 hours, Fry recovered the file. Thompson later said she hyperventilated with gratitude for weeks. The film's credits include a special thanks to Stephen Fry for his contribution. Thompson even joked on QY that Fry should have won the Oscar too, given his role in literally saving the screenplay from digital oblivion. To this day, it's one of the greatest data recovery stories in Hollywood history. No Stephen Fry, no screenplay. No screenplay, no movie. No movie, no Oscar. 11. Kate Winslet collapsed from hypothermia after 50 takes. The scene where Mary Ann meets Willoughby is iconic. She tumbles down a hill in the pouring rain, twists her ankle, and Greg Wise rides out of the mist on horseback, looking like every romance novel cover ever printed. What you don't see is Kate Winslet throwing herself down that hill 50 times while rain machines drenched her in freezing water. 50 takes. The scene was set on a hill during a rainy day, and Ang Lee wanted it perfect. So Winslet kept tumbling and rolling and falling, soaking wet in the cold, over and over and over. Then she collapsed from hypothermia. Winslet later described the moment during a 25th anniversary reunion.
It's a twisted ankle.
Do not be alarmed, Mamma. Please place the
I can assure you it's not serious. I took the liberty of feeling the bone and it's perfectly sound.
She fainted, and the crew rushed to warm her up. Greg Wise shoved her feet into his armpits. Emma Thompson rubbed her arms. But the physical chaos didn't stop there. Midway through filming, Winslet also contracted phlebitis in her leg, developed a limp, and sprained her wrist after falling down a staircase on set. This wasn't even her last hypothermia rodeo. 2 years later on Titanic, she told Stephen Colbert she was really cold in those unheated water tanks. Kate Winslet earned her first Oscar nomination for Sense and Sensibility. She also earned frostbite, a sprained wrist, and a blood clot. Method acting at its finest. 10. Ang Lee's first direction to Emma Thompson was Don't Look So Old. Emma Thompson had just won an Oscar for Howard's End. She was one of the most respected actresses in Britain. She'd written the screenplay for Sense and Sensibility herself. And when Ang Lee gave her his first acting note, it was brutal. Very dull, he told her, then added, "Don't look so old." Thompson wrote about it in her production diaries, and honestly, the bluntness is almost funny. No sugarcoating, no gentle critique. Just a Taiwanese director telling an Oscar winner she looked ancient and boring. But here's the thing. Lee wasn't being cruel. He was being direct. He wanted Thompson to relax, to stop performing, and start being.
What are you doing?
Presents for the servants. Have you seen Margaret, by the way? I'm worried about her. She's taken to hiding in the oddest places.
So he encouraged her to practice Tai Chi to help her make things simpler. Lee also suggested Kate Winslet read poetry and report back to help her understand Mary Ann's romantic nature. He made Hugh Grant meditate. The entire British cast, steeped in classical training, suddenly found themselves doing Tai Chi and breathing exercises. Thompson later said, "Lee doesn't indulge us, but is always kind when we fail." Translation, he'll tell you that you look old and dull, but at least he'll be nice about it when you mess up the scene. 9. They fired shotguns before every take to scare away crows. Filming at England's historic National Trust estates sounds romantic until you realize those estates come with medieval-level problems, like crows. Lots of crows. Emma Thompson wrote in her diaries that the crew had to fire a shotgun before each take to silence the cawing crows. Imagine trying to film a quiet, emotional period drama while birds scream over your dialogue. The solution? Blast them with a shotgun and hope they stay quiet long enough to capture the scene. But the crows were just the beginning. The National Trust volunteers were worse. These historic homes are preserved by volunteers who take their jobs very seriously. Thompson noted that the crew had to be supremely cautious while in these historic homes, as many National Trust volunteers were watching them like hawks ready to pounce. One wrong move, one scratch on an antique chair, one muddy footprint on a 300-year-old floor, and the volunteers would descend. The crew tiptoed around priceless furniture, avoided touching walls, and lived in constant fear of breaking something irreplaceable. Oh, and the weather dictated which scenes they could shoot. Cloudy versus sunny completely changed the schedule. If the light didn't match the previous day's footage, they had to switch scenes entirely. So, let's recap. Shotguns for crows, volunteers ready to attack, weather chaos, and all of this while trying to make a delicate Jane Austen adaptation look effortless. 8. Hugh Grant survived a tabloid scandal during release year. June 27, 1995. Hugh Grant, charming British heartthrob and star of 4 weddings and a funeral, was arrested on Sunset Boulevard for lewd conduct with a woman named Divine Brown. He was dating Elizabeth Hurley. The media exploded. Grant was supposed to be promoting his summer film, 9 Months. Instead, Jay Leno asked him on The Tonight Show, "What the hell were you thinking?" And Grant gave the most British response possible. "I did a bad thing," and there you have it.
I think you know in life pretty much what's a good thing to do and what's a bad thing, and I did a bad thing, and there you have it.
The scandal dominated headlines for months. Grant's mugshot was everywhere. Tabloids feasted. And when Sense and Sensibility premiered 6 months later in December, Grant's notoriety brought even more attention to the film. Here's where it gets weird. The scandal didn't destroy his career, it boosted it. Grant went from rom-com star to household name overnight. Elizabeth Hurley showed up to the Sense and Sensibility Los Angeles premiere in a stunning dress, standing by her man. The press couldn't look away. According to reports, Grant actually got more movie offers after the scandal. Notting Hill, Bridget Jones's Diary, Love Actually, his career skyrocketed. Divine Brown reportedly made over $1 million from media appearances. Grant paid a $1,180 fine and moved on. In Sense and Sensibility, he plays Edward Ferrars, a man trapped by obligation and social expectation. The irony of Grant promoting a film about propriety while his personal scandal raged in tabloids wasn't lost on anyone. 7. Emma Thompson wrote the part for Hugh Grant. Emma Thompson wrote Edward Ferrars specifically for Hugh Grant. She wanted him from day one, and he agreed to take a lower salary to fit the $16 million budget. Then Grant read Jane Austen's novel and hated it. He called Thompson's screenplay genius and said, "I've always been a Philistine about Jane Austen herself, and I think Emma's script is miles better than the book and much more amusing." Translation: Austen is boring, but Emma made it watchable. The Jane Austen Society of North America was not amused. They publicly criticized Grant's casting, saying he was too handsome for the part. Apparently, Edward Ferrars is supposed to be plain and awkward.
My behavior at Norland was very wrong, but I convinced myself that you felt only friendship for me, and that it was my heart alone that I was risking.
Not a rom-com heartthrob with floppy hair. Grant didn't care. He showed up, played Edward as charming and honorable, and made the character far more appealing than Austen's version. Thompson had deliberately rewritten Edward to be a modern male who loved children and had pleasing manners, basically turning him into boyfriend material for 1990s audiences. In the novel, Edward is shadowy and absent for long periods. Thompson called making the male characters effective one of the biggest problems in adapting the book. So she invented scenes, added dialogue, and turned Edward into someone you'd actually want Eleanor to marry. Hugh Grant insulting Jane Austen while starring in her adaptation is peak British cheek. But honestly, given how much Thompson changed the story, maybe he had a point. 6. The film bombed opening weekend. December 13th, 1995. Sense and Sensibility premiered in American theaters. It opened in 11th place at the box office and earned a whopping $721,341. For a film that cost $16 million to make, this looked like a disaster, right? Wrong. Columbia Pictures knew exactly what they were doing. The studio deliberately released Sense and Sensibility in only 70 cinemas nationwide. 70. While other films opened in thousands of theaters, Columbia treated their Jane Austen adaptation like an exclusive art house film. Why? Strategy. Pure, calculated strategy. Columbia wanted Sense and Sensibility positioned as an exclusive quality picture to boost its chances at the Academy Awards. Opening small made it feel prestigious, important, like something critics and tastemakers needed to discover. Then the reviews hit. Critics lost their minds. The film scored a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Time magazine declared it one of the best films of 1995. Over 100 publications put it on their top 10 of the year lists. Columbia slowly expanded the release. When the film received 7 Oscar nominations, they surged into more theaters. By the time of the actual Academy Awards ceremony in late March, Sense and Sensibility was playing in over 1,000 cinemas across the United States. The slow burn worked. The film eventually earned $135 million worldwide on that $16 million budget. Opening weekend, 11th place, barely $750,000. Final result, nearly 8 times the production budget and an Oscar for Emma Thompson. Sometimes the best way to win big is to start incredibly small. 5. The film almost didn't get made. Lindsay Doran had Emma Thompson's draft screenplay. She believed in it. Now she just had to convince a studio to fund it. Nobody wanted it. Studio after studio passed. The problem wasn't Jane Austen. The problem was Emma Thompson. She'd never written a screenplay before. She was an actress, a first-timer, a risk. Doran pitched it everywhere. Every rejection came down to the same concern. Thompson was the credited writer with 0 screenwriting experience. Why would they gamble millions on someone who'd never done this before? Columbia Pictures executive Amy Pascal finally said yes. She supported Thompson's work and agreed to produce and distribute. But even Columbia was nervous. The film was budgeted at $16 million, the largest budget Ang Lee had received and the biggest awarded to any Jane Austen adaptation that decade. Columbia greenlit it because Little Women had been a surprise hit in 1994, and they hoped Sense and Sensibility would pull the same crossover magic. Still, Doran considered it a low-budget film. Many of Thompson's ideas, like an early dramatic scene showing Mr. Dashwood's bloody fall from a horse, got cut for cost. Thompson kept rewriting throughout production, trimming scenes to meet budget concerns, tweaking dialogue, adjusting to fit the actors. It worked. Sense and Sensibility earned $135 million worldwide on a $16 million budget. Every studio that passed missed an 8-figure payday. 4. Kate Winslet was skipping meals. Kate Winslet was 19 years old and skipping lunch. Emma Thompson noticed. She pulled Winslet aside and said, "Losing weight is absolutely wrong for the part, and absolutely wrong for you. Then Thompson handed her a copy of The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf, a feminist book about impossible beauty standards and the cultural pressure to be thin. It changed Winslet's life. She's since credited Thompson as having a major influence, not just on her career, but on her relationship with her body. Thompson didn't lecture. She didn't shame. She gave Winslet a book and told her the truth. You're perfect. The industry is wrong. Winslet went on to become one of Hollywood's most outspoken advocates for body positivity. She's refused to let studios digitally alter her appearance, spoken openly about the pressure to be thin, and consistently pushed back against unrealistic beauty standards, all because Emma Thompson noticed a teenager skipping meals and decided to intervene. Thompson later praised Winslet in her diaries, calling her energized and open, realistic, intelligent, and tremendous fun. She saw Winslet's talent immediately and wanted to protect it. 3. Emma Thompson's marriage was imploding while she wrote a romance. Emma Thompson spent 5 years writing a screenplay about sisters finding love and happiness. Meanwhile, her own marriage was falling apart. Thompson married Kenneth Branagh in 1989. They were Britain's golden couple, both acclaimed actors, both brilliant, both seemingly perfect together. Thompson was writing Sense and Sensibility while married to him, crafting scenes about faithful love and honorable men. Then she found out Branagh was having an affair with Helena Bonham Carter. The affair started during the filming of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in 1994. By 1995, while Thompson was on set, filming Sense and Sensibility and playing Eleanor Dashwood, a woman quietly suffering through heartbreak, her real-life marriage was disintegrating. Thompson and Branagh announced their divorce in 1995. Thompson later told Beach Radio 4 that her heart was very badly broken by Ken. She was writing and starring in a Jane Austen romance about love triumphing while simultaneously processing the betrayal of her own marriage. Here's the really painful part. Years later, Thompson and Helena Bonham Carter worked together on the Harry Potter films. Thompson played Professor Trelawney, Bonham Carter played Bellatrix Lestrange, and Thompson, ever the class act, called Bonham Carter a wonderful woman. The irony is almost unbearable. Thompson wrote one of the most romantic, hopeful endings in Austen adaptations. While her own love story was crumbling, she gave Eleanor a happy ending. She gave Marianne redemption. She gave herself an Oscar. 2. The movie made Jane Austen. Tourism explode. When Sense and Sensibility premiered, something unexpected happened. Thousands of people wanted to visit the locations. Saltram House, the Georgian estate that played Norland Park, saw a 57% increase in attendance after the film's release. 57%. The National Trust couldn't believe it. Town and Country magazine published a 6-page article titled Jane Austen's England, focusing on the landscapes and estates shown in the film. The studio's press book listed every filming location, basically creating a treasure map for fans. Montacute House, Mompesson House, Compton Castle, these historic estates suddenly became tourist destinations. People showed up with cameras, wandering the same halls and gardens where Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet had filmed. The Jane Austen Society of North America saw membership increase by 50% in 1996. 50% in 1 year. And it wasn't just Sense and Sensibility. The BBC's Pride and Prejudice miniseries had aired the same year, and suddenly everyone wanted period dramas. The BBC and ITV started releasing their 1970s and 1980s Austen adaptations on DVD to meet demand. Publishers printed special editions of the novel with film pictures on the cover. Penguin released an audiobook read by Julie Christie. Emma Thompson's screenplay and diaries sold 28,500 hardcover copies in the U.S. alone. The film turned Jane Austen from required reading into a pop culture phenomenon. Estates that had been quietly preserved for centuries suddenly found themselves overrun with fans looking for Eleanor's drawing room and Marianne's rainy hillside. 1. Thompson is the only person to win Oscars for both acting and writing. March 25, 1996, the 68th Academy Awards. Sense and Sensibility was nominated for 7 Oscars, including Best Picture. Emma Thompson won Best Adapted Screenplay, making history as the first and only person to win Academy Awards for both acting and writing. She won Best Actress for Howard's End in 1993. Now, 3 years later, she held a second Oscar for writing Jane Austen's 1811 novel into a screenplay that critics called genius. Her acceptance speech was perfect. She thanked Jane Austen, then joked about Austen's ghost, probably being annoyed at all the liberties Thompson had taken. She thanked Ang Lee, the cast, the crew, and everyone who believed in a first-time screenwriter. What Thompson didn't mention was the 5 years of work, the computer crash that almost deleted everything, the studios that said no, the constant rewrites, or the fact that she was also starring in the film while writing it. She just thanked everyone and walked off with her Oscar. To this day, no one else has matched that achievement. Plenty of people have been nominated for both, but only Emma Thompson has won. The film earned $135 million worldwide. It launched Kate Winslet's career. It revived Jane Austen adaptations. It proved period dramas could be both critically acclaimed and commercially successful. And it all started because a producer took a chance on an actress who had never written a screenplay before. And there you have it. 15 weird facts about the Jane Austen adaptation, Sense and Sensibility. Which facts surprised you the most? Let us know in the comment section below. Which behind-the-scenes story shocked you? And if there are any facts we missed that deserve a spot on this list. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into classic films and the chaos that happened behind the camera. See you in the next one.